Hi there, I'm Dustin DeYoung.
And I'm Tanner Allen, and we're landscape coordinators for the city of Coquitlam. Today, we're in Town Center Park in the Eye Garden, the heart of Coquitlam. What me and Dustin kind of do with the city is we support and oversee our gardening staff that help make Coquitlam parks beautiful.
So today we're going to be talking to you about herbs and growing them at home. Whether it's in your kitchen, on your back patio deck, or in the backyard. We're going to try to find some ways to get you to do it yourself, save money, and get maximum flavor impact for your food. Thanks for joining us.
Let's get dirty.
So I think everybody has seen in the grocery store that you can buy packets of herbs that are supposed to be fresh, but oftentimes they're dried out or wilted or not looking that great, and they still have a high price tag. So what we're going to try to do with these 10 herbs here is show you how you can grow them at home for much cheaper. They're more readily available for you to use, and there's various different ways to pick these, whether you're going to buy them from the store like this or from seed. And yeah, we'll kind of show you how to do both methods.
So one thing that we just like to talk about first is when selecting. If you are going to go the option of buying it from a nursery or a store like this, would be selecting a good herb and kind of some places where you can buy them. So a lot of our local nurseries will have an assortment, as you can see here, but you can also get pretty good quality stuff from a Walmart or even a Home Depot. Just make sure you're looking for these certain little signs here. So when you're buying a nice basil plant right here, like we have here, you want to get stuff that has a void of like no yellow leaves. You don't want any discoloration on the leaves at the top. A little bit on the bottom's okay, but at the top area you want your leaves to be nice and green like this one is here. Now that relatively goes for all the same ones, or all the same kind of ideas, that you don't want any yellow on the leaves. For your dill, this is another one that can be, you know, a bit tricky to choose, but you want something nice and bushy. You can see at the top here how you have all that fresh dill at the top, and then some of your older stuff down here, which is totally fine, still usable. You just want to look for it to be more bushy in that kind of shape. And then the other most important thing is water. So it's never a bad idea when you're picking your herbs out to give the container a bit of a squeeze. Kind of feel how, you know, is it soft, is it mushy, and even pull it out. You know, the nurseries aren't afraid, or they'll let you do that. Pull it out of the pot and see how it looks. Like this one right here, you got a decent amount of water in there and a pretty good root system already. So that's a good one that you want to look for. You want to try and avoid them. If you pull it out and just the plant comes out, it means it was just recently planted and you're honestly paying for something you don't need to be. So just pull the pot right out, check for the water, check for the roots, and yeah, make sure that that stuff's all good, and then you're picking a quality plant each time.
So when planning to start your herb garden, there's a few factors that you want to take into account. All of these plants have basically the same requirements, but a few of them are a little more difficult to grow. They're a bit more finicky with their watering requirements and handling. So your basil and your cilantro are a little trickier, but to start off with, practically everything else here is fairly easy.
And one thing I just like to note too on Dustin's point there is when you are planting, let's say a mint, I highly recommend planting that in its own container, just because it grows like crazy and will take over your whole garden. So if you choose to put it in your actual garden, it'll be there forever. So I would highly recommend planting mint in its own container, so it can just kind of, you know, it doesn't spread around your whole garden and get everywhere kind of thing. But the other ones, plant how you'd see fit.
We all have our favorites. My favorite is dill. I put dill in everything.
There you go.
Drives my family a little bit crazy, but great flavor and really easy to use. You can just pinch them off and break it up a little bit in your fingers and sprinkle that into your food.
There you go. Tough choice for me. My favorite is probably basil, the Italian basil, just because it's so versatile and has such a good punch of flavor.
The next thing you're going to need to do for planting your garden is where you're going to actually plant it. So whether it's going to be in your backyard, in a windowsill, or on your kitchen counter, just think about the sun exposure. So you're going to want to have at least 6 hours of sunlight for these herbs every day. If you know that it's a location where you might not get that much, it's quite easy these days to buy an LED light that you can put above, and you can kind of supplement that sunlight with artificial light. They'll still grow just fine with those conditions.
And the other thing that we want to kind of touch on real quick here is you don't have to have a fancy pot or a fancy garden to grow herbs. You can really do with whatever you want, like just some basic plastic pots, different sizes, something just like a little stone container, or even a container of old sour cream, whatever you have we can use. It's super important though to make sure your object of wherever you're planting it has a drainage hole. So just make sure you're buying something with a drainage hole, or you put something in yourself. And then when you do have a drainage hole, you're also going to want a little tray so you don't get the water all over your counter or your windowsill or whatnot. So yeah, use whatever you have. Don't make it look pretty. All that really matters is that it tastes good. It doesn't matter what it looks like while it's growing, as long as it tastes good. That's all that matters.
So if you're going to start out with seeds, a few supplies that you're going to need would be a starter pot. These ones are made of paper, so they're actually decompostable. A label so you know what it is you're growing, and your packet of seed. These are available in most grocery stores, or garden centers definitely have a big display, and you can pick up whatever you need there for very low cost. What you're going to want to do is fill this pot with soil, make a tiny little hole, maybe just a ½ inch deep, and then place a single seed in, cover it up, and then give it a bit of moisture with some water, and then set it in a warm, sunny location. The other methods that are out there are the seed starter trays that you can see that have a little clear plastic dome on top of them. Those are also a great way to start your seeds. But if you have to, you can even start it in the container that you're choosing for the rest of its growing season.
And I would just like to touch too on, Dustin mentioned the type of soil. You want to look for a potting mix. We do have a large bag here. You don't want to use just soil out of your garden if you're doing it in pots, because you can actually attract bugs, and we want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So getting a nice, good quality potting mix is a smart idea as well. And then for seed brands, West Coast Seed is probably the most popular one. Truthfully, they might be a little bit more pricey than some of the other brands, but honestly, I've used seeds from a Walmart brand and a Home Depot brand, and they've both turned out well. So don't be afraid to kind of experiment with different brands throughout your herb journey. So Dustin's gonna, while he fills up our container here with Pro Mix, I'm just gonna ramble on about soil for a little bit here. So like we said earlier, you want to choose a potting mix or vegetable mix kind of soil. Again, avoid the garden soil. The other thing too is when you're filling it, you don't want to be pressing it down too much, because you kind of want it to be kind of airy, light and fluffy. The biggest part though is when you do add the soil in, you're going to want to water it before you start planting, just so it naturally compresses on itself, and then add more to it as it kind of compresses down. But you don't want to be firm packing that soil in while it's dry. You want to be kind of like that, like nice, airy and fluffy, and then as we add water to it, it'll kind of compact on itself. Then we'll add more to get the appropriate kind of height. But Dustin right there has it perfect. You don't want to overfill it, because you know when you're planting your herbs here, you got that soil that's going in there. So if you put too much, then you're going to spill everywhere. So just start off with a decent amount in there, maybe 3/4 full, and then we'll start planting and kind of water it down. And then if we have to add more, we have to add more. Pretty simple. So what do you say? Why don't we do a little planting here for them?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. What we'll do is we'll just plant a couple, just so you get the base idea. Again, mint, own container, so we don't want that one. What we'll go for first is the basil. Now, when you're unpotting something, you can kind of see that we have the roots down here. These are okay. Give them a bit of a tug just to loosen up a bit. Take your tag out. Don't want that in there right now. And a little pressure on the bottom of the pot here, just ever so slightly, and then kind of tilt it just like that and gently pull it out. As you can see, this one is very well rooted and in awesome condition. So what we do is you dig a nice little hole. So I like to use my hands for this. You can use a shovel, but I'm not afraid of the dirt. Dig a little hole and place your plant inside and fill it back in. Pretty simple, right? But what you want to avoid is you want to avoid overcrowding this top of the plant here, because that can actually lead to more rot than anything when you water it. So you want to give it a bit of space, just a little bit of airflow in there. Pretty simple. And then when you're done, if you're not sure what it is, you can reuse the tag, put it right in there, and now you know what you have. And so now we plant it, we get our water it around, you know, make sure it's nice and compact, and then if we need to, we'll add more soil to it, and so on and forth. Dustin's gonna show us another one here. Nice, super simple, super fun. it's great to do with, you know, if you have grandkids or kids, great to get them involved in this too and kind of teach them about the herbs and planting. And yeah, super easy. There, simple.
So while Tanner plants another into this container here, a couple of different styles that you can use when you're planting your herb garden. This would be like a multi-plant container, which is great, but you just got to consider to leave a little bit of space between each plant. I mean, you can go as crazy as you want, but they're all going to be competing for that space and that moisture and water. So the other option would be grabbing an individual plant or an individual pot and just planting one plant per pot. That will give it as much space as it needs. You can move that around to a different windowsill if it requires different light requirements. And so it's a little bit more mobile in that sense and able to be interchanged in and out. So you're not overcrowding anything, and each plant can get its own nutrients, its own water, and not be competing with the plants beside it.
All right, Dustin, since we have it all planted here, do you want to add a little bit of water from your teeny watering can there? I didn't say spill it on me. There we go. See, just like that, super simple, wet everything, nice and good. And then once it's kind of, you feel like you have enough water, get your hands back in there, fluff it up a bit, see if you need more soil. You're probably gonna need more soil, like right here. Dustin will top us up a bit, and he'll do it again. He'll add a bit more water until we get to that desired kind of soil depth we're looking for. Be sure not to overwater it. Like the little watering can we have here, that's all you need. You don't need too much more than that. There we go. Get all the plants nice and watered. Perfect. And there you go. Your planter's ready to go. You put it outside, put it on your deck, whatever you need. So now we have all of our plants in our pot here. For a pot about this size, I'd recommend not going more than 3. 3 is probably the perfect amount because your plants are going to grow bigger than this, hopefully, if you're doing things right. But your plants are going to grow larger, so you don't want too much more than 3 in this kind of size pot. And then again, it's important, put it on your drip tray so you're not making a mess of the house. And there you go.
So one tip I have when it comes to watering is likely the biggest killer of your herb garden is going to be overwatering. When we have these planters on our kitchen counter or on a windowsill and they're always in your sight line, you're always going to be looking at it thinking, oh, it looks a little thirsty, I should give a little bit more water. Try to water maybe once a week, even if that. If you're really seeing the signs of things drying out, then give it some water, but overwatering is going to drown the roots of the plant and they're not going to be as healthy. So a little bit of water at a time, and then just gauge how things are going from there.
One thing that I quickly want to talk about is fertilizer. So when you have your herb garden and you feel like you need to fertilize it, use an organic fertilizer. Don't use something that's synthetic like a Miracle-Gro. Lean towards the organic side of the fertilizer when it does come time to fertilize your herbs.
Don't be intimidated to start your garden. There's lots of information on how to start the seeds, when to plant them, and all the conditions that they need to thrive. On the back of the seed packet, there's lots of information right there, as well as the tag that the plant comes with. As you can see, it's got everything you need on here. The amount of sun that they need, temperature, soil, it's got all the information you need right there. Different herbs have different growing life cycles. So while most are annual and will just kind of grow for one season or 1 year and then you'll have to regrow the next year, many of them are perennial, meaning that they're going to continually regrow year after year as long as they're kept healthy. So for example, oregano, thyme, rosemary, and mint are perennial and they'll continue to grow year after year.
And the other ones we have here with the cilantro, the basil, the parsley, and the dill, those ones will have to be replaced every season. But I got a tip for you when you're getting close to the end of our growing season. What you're going to do is you're going to harvest all your little leaves from your basil and you're going to put it in an ice cube tray with water. And then when you need to take it out and you're saying, let's say you're making a nice pasta sauce in December and you want some fresh basil, you take out your ice tray cubes, pop them out, and you put some of those in the pan and allow the water to evaporate. Boom, fresh basil in December. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is harvesting your herbs here. It's super simple, nothing to be afraid about. I'll show you quickly just kind of what we're doing here. So a big one is basil. You don't want the flower to start to grow on basil, or else you'll lose some of your leaf production. So when you're harvesting basil, you actually want to, if you see the flower, we got a bit of a flower right here. You want to pick that off, get rid of that, toss it away. And then all you do, you come in here, I would go about mid-level or to the bottom, because the bottom has all your old growth, and that's where you're going to want to start plucking your basil leaves from. The top has the freshest, but again, you kind of want to start from the bottom. All you're going to do, gently grab the stem, grab the leaf, pop it off. There you go. You got yourself a nice basil. Cilantro over here is pretty simple. Same thing, but it's more of a bushy habit of growth. So you're just going to come in, grab whatever you need, pop it right off. Done, just like that. And then we move over to parsley. Same thing again. As you're seeing a theme, they're all relatively the same. You're just going to grab your parsley. If you want, you can use some secateurs or some scissors, wherever you got, and you go down a bit to the base here, snap it off. And what you're going to do when you're cooking with it is just get rid of that stem. But we take that much of the stem off so it has a nice growing point to start from. So there's your parsley. Dill, again, super simple. We'll come in here, similar to parsley, you're going to take a stalk off like that. When you're ready to use it, cut the stalk off, you got your dill. Mint, similar to basil, pluck from the bottom, gently hold the stem, pluck it off, you got your mint leaf. For rosemary, very similar again, but rosemary you can almost take from wherever you want. So if you want the ones closest to you, just again gently hold it and pluck some of your rosemary, however much you think you need, off. There you go, rosemary. Thyme, again, kind of a bushy plant, very similar to the other ones we talked about, very similar to cilantro. You're just gonna actually, what you can do, this is a trick that I learned watching lots of cooking shows on TV. Cut your stalk off, and then you're gonna pluck from the tip, and you hold the top like this, and you're gonna slide your fingers down the stem like that. And then you got all your thyme and your stem, which you don't want to eat, goes in your compost, and your thyme goes in your food. And then we got oregano, again, same thing as basil, just pluck whatever leaf you want off, boom, done. Moving over to, again, another basil. Well, again, this is just a different variety of basil, but what you want to do, if you see the flower start to grow, get rid of that, and then you want to come into the lower middle area, pluck off your basil gently, got your basil leaf. And our last one over here is sage. Again, very similar to basil. You want to grab the stem, pluck it off like that, or you want to take your kitchen scissors or your secateurs and you want to come in here, cut down to the base, pluck the stem off, throw it in your compost, you got your sage.
Now that you have a healthy, thriving herb garden or planter, the main thing is to actually use them. So don't be afraid to start pinching off those leaves and stems and flowers, because the more that you use it, the more that they're going to regrow and get bushier and continually be supplying you with herbs for your cooking or for your medicines or herbal uses, whatever that might be.
Yeah, don't be afraid to get into your mint here and make yourself a nice little mocktail of mojito, delicious summer drink. Get into your rosemary, make yourself a little bit of a gin if you're into gin. Don't be afraid to use your fresh cilantro in your salsas and your guacamoles. Or you know what, if you're feeling adventurous, just chew on some parsley. It's good for your teeth.
You know what, Tanner? Aside from just being outside our Coquitlam parks, bringing in some gardening into your home or your apartment is a great way to boost your mood, your mental health, and just working with plants is just a nice, healthy way to, I don't know, express yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you get outside and also get your family involved too. It's just, gardening's not a one-person thing. Get your grandkids, get grandma out there, get mom, get dad, cousins, friends, whoever. Get them all involved in it, just to have some fun in the garden, get in the dirt, and spend some beautiful time in the sunshine with each other. And just, it just brings each other closer. And how good is it knowing when you pick your basil for your pasta sauce that you grew that? That's a special thing to think about. So yeah, get outside, get active, enjoy the gardening, and do it with someone you love.